The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar with MindStream Analytics and spending a part of your Friday with us. My name is Monica Hasibi, and I am the Marketing Specialist for MindStream Analytics. Today, we will be presenting on 9 reasons why you are ready for EPM outsourcing. Before we get started, there's just a couple of housekeeping items I'd like to go over with you. To confirm that you can hear me, please click on the raise your hand button now. Perfect. Thank you for doing that. So on the right side of your screen, you will see a questions tab. Anytime during the webinar, you may enter in any questions you may have into that box, and we will address all questions at the end of the webinar. Now let's just go over a quick overview of who MindStream is. MindStream's mission is to deliver premier consulting and managed services to clients by enhancing technology and aligning resources through systematic process to harness insight and enable financial and operational fact-based decision-making. We're an Oracle partner with Hyperion specialization with focused practice in planning, consolidation, OBIEE, infrastructure, EPM strategy and training, and Hyperion managed services. Our managed services offering features a dedicated team made up of former consultants and Hyperion administrators who all average over 9 years of professional experiences that provide Hyperion-specific technical and functional support. We deploy Hyperion applications with a focus on ease of use, ease of maintenance, and utilization of built-in functionality. Our presenter today will be Troy Fries, the VP of Technical Services for MindStream. Troy possesses over 20 years of information technology experience with particular depth in the government and financial sectors. He has developed information strategic plans, technical architectures, knowledge management systems, and business solutions utilizing a wide array of technology. With extensive experience in system design and development, data center management, as well as project and organization management, Troy brings an exceptional balance of business and technical expertise to every endeavor. He has successfully managed a multi-million-dollar contract, created a SharePoint knowledge system from the ground up, and supervised the design. While in the Marines, Troy was a member of the Joint Chief of Staff, creating briefs for the Secretary of Defense and Congress. His last position was Chief of Staff, Headquarters Marine Corps, to the National Security Agency. So we're lucky to have him. So with that, I'm going to turn the presentation over to Troy, and we will begin.
Hi, happy Friday, everybody. I know I'm looking forward to the weekend. I hope everybody else is. So hopefully, thank you for spending your Friday with us, and hopefully this is something that everybody will take something away from. So I know the title is about 9 reasons for EPM outsourcing. One of the things about EPM outsourcing, and in the outsourcing world right now, there's a lot of definitions flying around about infrastructure as a service, platform and software as a service. There's hybrid clouds, there's on-premise, and there's a lot of confusion sometimes over what all of that means. So here's a quick picture of what infrastructure, platform, and software as a service, what the different levels show, and for on-premise. As you can see, in the green is going to be what you would manage on your own, and and the pink is managed by the provider. Now, just to make this, I'm showing this in the beginning. I'm going to talk about each one of them and then show it again at the end, because that way then it'll make a little bit more sense at the end. So as we talk now, it's going to be infrastructure as a service. This is the new buzzword that's going around in outsourcing world. Everybody wants to offer infrastructure as a service, but what exactly is infrastructure as a service? The vendors, they provide your networking, and they provide the rental of your virtual machines if you want to go cloud. They also provide rentals of bare metal servers, and they will provide the OS if you'd like. But that is it. They do not manage your updates. They do not manage your patches. And you're responsible for everything that goes on there. The other thing is when you outsource for your infrastructure only, the provider really doesn't concern themselves with what you're doing with your machines. All they care about is that you're paying for a specific network, you're paying for specific servers, and this is what they're offering. There's a lot of players in this market right now, and the larger ones really are SoftLayer, which is an IBM company. Everybody knows about Amazon, and then there's also Rackspace. So that's your infrastructure as a service. Your next version that a lot of people, this one isn't really as popular. This is more of the middleware. This is more for development in a way. It's more platform as a service. So when you're platform as a service, what they're going to give you is they're going to give you everything that infrastructure as a service gives you. But they're also going to give you the pre-installation of all of your middleware, your applications for your IaaS, JBoss, Tomcat, your runtime environments of Java, and also .NET. You're still responsible for the data and the management of the applications, but here you're patching a lot of your more detailed OS-specific related systems will be taken care of. This is going to be for your, as I was saying before, for your developers mostly, which is an example of Google App Engine and Windows Azure, which is a newer system but pretty popular for developers. And now software as a service. This is what everybody's been talking about for years, ever since Salesforce really. This is where all you do is you log on to a web page or into some application and you receive everything. So software as a service gives you everything from the IaaS and the platform as a service. So they give you all stacks from network to application level. You log in and you use the system. That's it. No management of your applications. You don't have to worry about data storage. They take care of everything. This is the most common. A lot of people use this. Almost everybody in the world has a Gmail account, it seems like, or an Office 365, Google, anything at all that has to do. That's what software as a service is. So now when we look at this picture one more time, hopefully it makes a little bit more sense for what exactly when you start hearing we need to outsource our infrastructure, or somebody comes up to you and says this is why you need to use us for your infrastructure as a service or a platform as a service. And again, if there's any questions on any one of these, if there's any, please put it into the question as we go along. I might not answer it right away, but I might be able to swing something into the presentation, or at least we'll have it at the end. But please put it in there just so you don't forget about it. Okay, so now that we talked about that, we're going to get down to the webinar exactly now. What is outsourcing in a way, especially for EPM systems? There's a lot of different ways you can outsource. There's the administration. Because when you outsource, first of all, you have to think to yourself, why are you outsourcing? What is your need for your company? And just to let you know, this isn't going to say this is why you need to outsource with MindStream. If you do outsource with MindStream, that's even great for us. But this is more of an overall benefit to everybody and just a knowledge on should you even outsource. So what can you outsource? You can outsource your administration. And part of that is your provisioning of your users, your security access, your setup. Another thing you can outsource is your level 2 and level 3 support. You might have great administration and level 1 support, but they don't have the time to dig down deep for the level 2 and the level 3 support. And this can be outsourced separately than the administration. The last thing you can outsource is infrastructure. You have great administration. You have great level 2 and level 3 support. But the issue, and that's on the application side. But the issue is in your infrastructure is nobody knows how to patch Hyperion products. Nobody understands how to improve the system performance, or they're just a little confused with it. There's enhancements. What if you've been having downtime and you need to just outsource? Why is there a root cause analysis? What is wrong with my infrastructure that's causing this? So for outsourcing on EPM, you can pick one whole, like all the administration. You can pick just a provisioning of users. You could pick any one of those sections, or you can outsource everything, or you can, whatever a combination is. So there really is no generic, this is what you have to do when you outsource. You outsource what is going to be best for your company. And now, what are the reasons that you would even think about outsourcing? So here are 9 reasons why you would be ready to outsource your EPM. One of them is staff, and I'm going to talk about each one of these in detail, and hopefully I don't bore anybody with them. But everybody understands about staffing cuts. Who hasn't been in a company that had, due to reductions and finances, you had to do staffing cuts? That causes overworked staff, which leads into inconsistent experiences. And then you have relief time with Oracle. Everybody knows how long it takes to spend with Oracle and how just monitoring and managing that relationship. Another reason is your excessive application downtime or your infrastructure outages. And if you notice, they're completely separate because not all application downtime is caused by infrastructure. And I'm saying that as an infrastructure person, so if anybody else is out there, you're welcome on the infrastructure side. Sometimes your system needs upgrades and you just don't have the knowledge for that. There's a sharing of risks, and also there is an overall cost saving when you do outsource specific areas. It can cost more money if you pick the wrong areas, so this is hopefully going to help you narrow down what exactly you would like to outsource. Okay, the first one we're going to talk about now are staffing cuts. Staffing cuts are really just part of our business. As everybody knows, people come in, companies do well, they hire. Companies slow down, they let people go. And how do they pick it? Nobody really knows. It usually comes, everybody knows HR picks people and then they're cut. So when a company makes a cutback, your EPM may need support because you're going to be losing some critical staff. One of the benefits of outsourcing because of this is you don't really need an official headcount, just your FTEs. And your FTEs are full-time employees. So what that means is when you have a headcount, your headcount means I need 1 administrator, or I need 1 infrastructure specialist, or I need a level 2 support, a level 3 support, an HFM person, or a planning person. So a headcount is hired for a specific person. When you say FTE, it's just 5 bodies. You hire a company that outsources and you just want 5 bodies. What is that 5 bodies that you're keeping on standby? Today it can be an HFM specialist. Tomorrow it's a planning specialist. The next day you throw in a DBA, a network person, an infrastructure person, an administrator. So what happens with this is instead of really hiring for an exact job, you're just hiring for an overall support, and it's up to your outsourcing company to provide the person that they need and that specialty. So with this, your vendors can provide your application support on a 24/7 administrator. You have a great administrator, but that person, as nobody likes to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and if you have a need for that, you can outsource your after-hours administration. You can outsource infrastructure specialists. If everybody knows how, especially in the Hyperion world, it is a major hassle to support on the infrastructure side. You can know everything there is about how the applications work, but the interaction between the applications and the servers is usually the sticky point where everybody starts arguing over it's an app issue, it's a network issue, it's a database issue, it's an infrastructure issue. So when you outsource to a company, they can't argue because they're everything. They are all the support. And a lot of the people are trained on applications and infrastructure. Or you can select just your application changes. You're a great administrator, but who has time to rewrite reports? Who has time to rewrite queries or business rules for any kind of stuff? So we work in your cubes. So you can outsource those changes. And then again, it comes up to IT support, your server support, your patching. if everybody wants to think back now, when was the last time that you actually patched your Hyperion applications when there wasn't an issue? Do you even know what version you're on? Do you know what patch level you should be at? Do you know what it takes to patch it? So this is something that is a big player in the world, is just outsourcing just your IT support, and then they work with your administrators. Our next area is going to be, because of the staffing cuts, you have, overworked staff. How many times, because of a staffing cut, you're down to 1 administrator from 3, and that person still has to take a vacation, that person still gets sick, and a lot of times you might have another job on top of your Hyperion administration or whatever application you're managing. Well, when this happens, you can free up your time by hiring somebody, outsourcing somebody to manage your service with you. But they can make the necessary updates, so they become your second administrator. You still handle all of your main administration, all of your priorities, but now you have somebody that you can assign work to and follow up on. They do your general administrative tasks, all the stuff that takes the non-glamorous part of the job that takes up all of the time, that just needs to get done. So that's part of your staff augmentation. So you have your healthy method available time for many things that you need to do without losing the benefit of your own staff. So again, it goes after your after-hour support. You work especially during close, when somebody's working at 10 p.m. or 3 a.m., your outsourcing company, they receive the phone calls and not you. So that way you can still be in the office bright and early and be supporting them up without having to work all night. The other thing too is that you have the additional experience and a different perspective. One of the things about hiring new people is you get to learn what other companies do, and you get to borrow from that other company, kind of a best of breed from what everybody's doing to make your own service better. With an outsourcing company, you have people that worked in many different companies, and since they support many companies, you automatically gain the knowledge of everybody else. So it's an easy way of gaining access to different app versions of what's going on out there in the world. With that comes consistent experience. As everybody knows, when there's there's a lot of high turnovers in companies, and that can be a threat to system efficiencies. You also have vacations, leaves, and then all of a sudden an urgent project comes up where everybody from support gets pulled, and they have to go away, and now the person that is assigned to be your administrator, there's usually a huge drop-off from your main administrator. Because of this, a vendor can provide consistent knowledge. Due to the contract lengths, if you do a 3-year contract, that vendor has knowledge from every change that happened over the last 3 years. It doesn't matter if anybody leaves the company, or if anybody quits. There's usually a lot less turnover in an outsourcing company. And also, because of the knowledge bases that are created, you don't have to worry about your knowledge leaving with somebody else. Everybody is trained in order to do everybody else's job. A lot of times, when somebody does training, a lot of times they only teach 80% of what they know. Why is that? Because it's hard to teach somebody 100%. You just forget about a lot of stuff that you just don't know, or it's just something that happens on a day-to-day basis. When you outsource, all of that is documented for somebody to come in. So there is no requirement for hiring and training. If you hire somebody new, it takes them a couple of weeks in order to learn your system, learn your routines. When you outsource that, you don't have to worry about any of that. So you maintain 100% system knowledge regardless of the staff, due to the consistent documentation, due to the requirements for a thorough knowledge base, and also there's a totally different accountability system when you outsource than when you're a full-time employee of that company. Okay, reason number 4 is not to sound funny, but it is relief from time spent with Oracle. Oracle support is a necessary evil, but it is a time-intensive endeavor. It takes you a while to get a response. even on severity ones. If you have a severity 1 and you need somebody to work it 24/7, do you have somebody that can sit there at 2 o'clock in the morning to work that issue, or is it going to be you that's expected to be with Oracle support for 24 hours a day while you're still doing your job? Do you have so many tickets that you can't keep track of it? Do you know how to open requests for enhancements? Do you know how to escalate when something's not working right? When you outsource, for one thing, you don't use Oracle support as much. One of the reasons is when you have an issue with your company, this might be the first time that anybody's ever seen that issue because you only have that one system. You have that one version. When you do an outsource on a vendor like MindStream, we have multiple clients running environments from 11.1.2.1 up to 11.1.2.3.5 and preparing for 11.1.2.4. So when we say we're more expedient before going to level 2 because we've probably already seen that issue as an outsourcing vendor. So your initial, what might be new to you is something that we've seen on your version across multiple vendors already, and we know what patch it is. So we could take a look at it and say, oh yeah, we know all about this one. So this is the patch you need. We've seen this. As you know, a lot of times you don't just patch Hyperion because there's a new patch out. You patch it when it's broken, and there's only certain patches that you need to. So this is stuff that your partner can do. And when I say partner, I mean your outsourcing company, because a good outsourcing vendor should be a partner to your company. It should not be looked at as, oh, this is just a person that we're paying, because in order for everybody to succeed, you have to create that partnership. Our next reason, number 5, is your excessive application downtime. One of the things about this is everybody has internal SLAs with their own IT, but with their own administration. A lot of times it's hard to enforce an SLA internally. What's going to happen if you don't keep your SLA for one reason or another? When you outsource to a vendor, that's a monetary issue. So if you don't have your SLAs, the company gets money back. So they make sure that the SLAs are being met. One of the other things you can do is your restarts. How often do you actually do a restart of your application? How often do you do restarts of your services? Is it as needed, or is it whenever IT says so? And this is the one time I will pick on my own people on IT side, is because in the IT world, you don't ever really want to do restarts. You don't do restarts of servers because that's when servers actually break, when they're restarting. And on the IT world, well, there's a thinking and a belief that if your application was built correctly, you wouldn't have to restart your servers all the time. We all know that with Hyperion and with a lot of other EPM products, that's not generally the case. No matter what happens, you still have to do at least service restarts on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. And that helps keep your jobs, the reports from running slower and causing you to miss your month-end close. Vendors can alleviate all of this because we have what we call vendor toolboxes. We've created optimization scripts from having various clients across the board with everything. So we've been able to optimize our defrags for your S-base cubes, being able to scripts for removing zeros for your applications. We have backup scripts, defrag scripts to run other scripts, and have stuff for DR. So we're making sure that we can run a script to make sure your DR is in sync every 4 hours. So we have this toolbox that's readily available that once everything is signed, that's what goes into the systems, and we start looking. And a lot of the issues that were being reported are cleared up right away with some of these scripts. We have detailed application monitoring from the vendors. We handle the reporting, you handle decisions. What that means is, for S-base, we can look down and we monitor the block sizes to find out, are your cubes growing too fast? Are they why are they growing? We'll tell you what's going on with your, we monitor, what's going on with your applications. We monitor HFM logs to make sure that they're not getting to a certain size. Once they are, we archive them off. Also the same thing with your S-based logs. So since we have on the application side and the infrastructure side, we understand Hyperion. We know what needs to be done on both sides to work together in order to make everything better off, which is what we mean by best of breed practices. Best of breed is just that we know from multiple environments on HFM what logs you need to monitor. We work with our IT department to look and to modify our monitoring, look for specific keywords inside the jobs, so we know when something's happening. We also know when alerting happens, so we can be alerted before an issue actually comes up and when it's starting. That way, then when we can stop the issue from actually happening. Our excessive infrastructure outages, system crashing without explanations, maintenance not done on, a lot of why are servers crashing? The servers can crash for a multitude of reasons. One of them could be that, yes, the application is trying to run somebody made a modification to a query or a report, or too many people are trying to do a consolidation. There could be something that's in the application that's causing the server memory or CPU to max out, and that crashes the system. Is that a infrastructure issue, or is that an application issue? And the answer is yes. Why is it like that? Well, the infrastructure side can honestly say to the application people, redo your query because you wrote it in the wrong way. But on the application side, it's like, well, why don't you change your JVM settings? Monitor your memory better. And that's what we do. We don't do finger pointing because we do everything, and finger pointing doesn't ever get anything accomplished. It just delays it, and then the person that pointed the finger wrong always feels bad. So another one is maintenance not done on your time. Your IT department might say, we're doing maintenance at this time, but that's not good for you. You don't have any say on it a lot of times. So when you outsource, you're the boss. You say, I want to do maintenance, my system reboots on Saturday morning from 2 to 4. Well, that's what you say, that's what you want, that's usually what happens. If you want it on a Tuesday afternoon, that can happen too. So it's up to what you want. You're managing your patching and your upgrades. Everybody knows patching on Hyperion systems is not the easiest thing in the world. You can patch and it's easy to blow away your inventory. I'm sure a lot of people have seen that. Then you have to rebuild it. So just patching has to be done in a specific way. Root cause analysis and solutions. How many times do you have an issue when your system's unavailable, but you never receive a clear-cut answer? When you outsource, that is part of the requirements, part of the SLA, that you will have a root cause analysis done and a document written. The other reason that this has to get done on the vendor side is we build our knowledge base off of these. So what happens is when client A has this issue, and we've seen it for the first time with client A, we do up our page where we fill our knowledge base. When that happens again to client B, all of a sudden now we have an answer, we have a fix. We don't have to go through and spend time. So instead of taking a day or two to figure out what's wrong with it and working with Oracle, that's already been accomplished, and we're up and running in a matter of minutes instead of hours. So, and then the interactions, because we do talk, one thing I found out is on the infrastructure side, we talk a completely different language than application people. When I say I'm going to be working on the application, a business person is going to be thinking of the HFM application or the planning app that created. On the infrastructure side, when you say application, we're talking HFM, S-based planning, reports. That's what an application is to us. So we say a lot of the same words and have totally different meanings for them, which also causes plenty of confusion. So everybody's thinking the other person doesn't know what they're talking about when it's just a matter of semantics. We can alleviate all of these again by the toolboxes, our detailed monitoring, and the best-of-breed practices. So as you notice on the bottom, the infrastructure and application are the exact same thing. Why? Because we look at it the same. We are, if you need something like that, we're the one. If you want one neck to choke, as a saying, that we could be that one neck to choke. Your seventh reason is your system needs upgrades. As you know, you've always heard, when you can't see the forest and the trees, vendors can identify issues and resolve matters at the 50,000-foot level. You're in your application all the time. You're down in the weeds. You're looking at cells. So when there's an issue or an area for improvement, a lot of times people get too narrowed down and they get too technical with, they think what the solution is, when a lot of time it's something so much higher up and so much easier that when you hear about it, you smack yourself on the head and say, why didn't I think it was going to be that easy? And that's what a vendor can help with, is to get you out of the weeds and be thinking above it for an area of an opportunity, give you a different perspective on what your application actually looks like, for where you need to do your upgrades, your patching. If you have an idea for an enhancement, they can help you work with Oracle to get that done. For your sharing of your risks, this is a big one in a way, because when you're the only person in your company that is doing your job, who do you have to go to when you have an issue? You're your own escalation point. When you're having an issue and you're banging your head on the desk because you just cannot figure out what to do, and there's nobody to ask, you have to go out to the OPM, you Google it, you find we all belong to various groups, but it's really easy to be able to call somebody up on the phone and hear a voice and say, hey Troy, this is happening to me right now. What do you think it is? And it's nice to be able to talk to somebody that you're familiar with and that knows your system already, without having to, as everybody knows, when you're dealing with Oracle, the first thing they ask you to do is give me a registry report and a deployment report, and then they ask you to give you 5 separate different logs. So it's nice and then explain how your system is built. It's nice to be able to call somebody up and they already know your system inside and out, and they know your issues that you're facing. Or if you're just having a bad day, you can just call somebody up and say, Troy, I'm having a really bad day today. Do you think you can be there to help me out today? And the answer is going to be yes. The implementation of business projects can be a departmental risk, actually. When there's a project going on, who are they going to call? They call your support. They call you in to take care of something. So now you can still be able to go work on all of this and still have somebody to back you up. Another thing is it saves you time in the early stages of a special project. When you have a vendor that you're outsourcing with that knows your system and already has all of the skill sets that are required for an upgraded project or building a new cube, modifying, converting, you don't have to go out with an RFP. You have somebody there, and you probably already at reduced rates of it as a project, because most of the time on managed services, you'll have what managed services can do. Other times you'll have to do a project, but because you're a long-term client already, those rates are drastically reduced. The other thing is it reduces implementation time. How many times have you started a project and the first month of the project really is just for your vendor to learn your system? It takes a while to go in there, learn your system, learn how you run your reports, what are the times, what's the usage actually like. When you outsource for managed services, that's already taken care of, and it does save a lot of time, and as we know on projects, time is money. Which leads to the last reason, cost savings. Is it costly to outsource? Yes. Is it costly not to outsource? Yes. Cost savings are short-term and or long terms. In the short term, it's a monthly budgeted expense. You know what the cost of your EPM management is going to be over the next 3 years because you have a monthly cost for whatever it is you need. If you don't have to pay extra for overtime for 24/7 coverage or your internal IT costs. You know that for every month for the next 3 years you're going to pay X amount of dollars. So that's budgeted. You know all about that. And in the long term, it spreads the cost of your servers over the life of the contract. So when you purchase servers in your IT for IT, a lot of times you have to make an initial investment of 10 servers, and they want the money up front for that. When you outsource, sometimes those servers can be spread out over the length of the contract, and instead of paying, say, $100,000 up front for those 10 servers, you spread that out over 36 months, and that depends on the contract. So there's a lot of different ways of cost savings just with the FTEs, with hiring people, with training, so it's a cost saving is one of the biggest. And I don't have a recap of the 9 reasons because I figured by now anybody that's still awake would have already memorized them. So I do have open and out. I would like to open the floor up for any questions. If anybody has anything, please type it in. Are there any questions?
Troy, yes, we have some questions loading here.
Okay.
So I can read them to you. One is, can MindStream provide all these services?
Yes, MindStream can provide all of these services or any aspect of it. To give an idea, we do have some managed services client where we are their administrators, infrastructure, where we host your servers also in our data center. So we can host, we can do everything. Another one is where we manage the applications within the client's data center, and we work with their IT department instead of the Hyperion administrators.
Okay. Any general cost estimations available as a starting point if we want to open the question up with internal IT?
Say that one more time, please.
Any general cost estimations available as a starting point if they want to open the question up with internal IT?
A general cost, I would have to say no. That is because every project and every contract is going to be a little different depending on the number of hours that's going to be requested, the level of support requested, the number of tickets, and the number of users and the general amount of servers. So sorry, that I cannot answer.
Can you share how your outsourcing model is priced?
We price it on a lot of different reasons. We have some clients where they pay us on a monthly retainer, where they have everything, but they just want somebody that that knows their system and they can call up and ask questions to whenever they need to. But a lot of times it's based on the amount of hours that we estimate that will be spent managing your system. So that's on the application management side, and that would also be on the infrastructure side. So if we think it's going to require 40 hours a week, we would have to look at having, well, that's going to be one person per week. If we're hosting, then that would go according to, do you want a private cloud? Do you want to be on your own virtual servers? Do you have physical servers? And what type of database and how many servers you actually have for us to manage?
Okay, and a follow-up question to that is there a minimum amount of hours?
No, it's every contract can be written dependent upon the needs of the client. We have some clients that we talk to maybe 1 or 2 hours a month, and that's what they pay for. Some clients we spend 40 hours a week on.
Do you have any comments on functional support outsourcing? For example, supporting the user-facing aspects of customer-specific S-based planning, HFM applications.
Yes, we do have clients that we do that for, and we are level 1, level 2, level 3 support. We are the administrators. We take care of provisioning. We create users. We manage security of everybody. If we help people with their SmartView connections and SmartView installations, and also we do training on SmartView, and also for various of all the versions of Hyperion. So it's whatever your needs are, we have an offering for that.
Okay, great. I think that's all the questions we have today. Oh, just kidding. One more we have just came in. In your pricing model, with a set number of hours of support, do those roll over for a set period of months? So if I were on a 40 hours a month plan, but actually support could be 20 hours for some, but 60 hours for other months.
We haven't done that in the past. I would hate to say that, and I don't want to say that we will never. There are ways to do what we call true-ups, so that those are options also. So sometimes they can carry, sometimes we can work it out to where, okay, yeah, you're paying for 40 hours, but you're averaging only 20 hours. We can manage around that. Or if you all of a sudden go over 1 month and you pay for 40 hours and all of a sudden you need 50, but you haven't used the hours in the past, sometimes they can those hours can mysteriously disappear.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Troy, for your time. And we will be sending out an email with a link to our website for you to download this recorded presentation and also the slides that Troy used for today's presentation. So thank you again for joining us on Friday. Hopefully you have a good weekend, and thank you so much, Troy.
All right, thank you very much, and I hope everybody has a great Friday.